Hi, I'm Alex West, and I'm going to be talking to you about the NCAA and student athletes and why I think that they should get paid. So, imagine that you're part of a multi-billion dollar industry. You're the leader of an organization, and your performance drives the entire organization's profits and revenues. So, if you're performing well and you're bringing in lots of revenue, don't you think that you should be financially compensated? The NCAA today, it's hurting way more student athletes than it's benefiting. Uh, College sports are a billion-dollar industry. Every year, universities in the NCAA make billions of dollars from college sports. But while coaches and universities make millions, the athletes who bring in money are left with nothing. So back in 1906, the NCAA was formed to protect the welfare of student athletes. The NCAA rules of amateurs were established to make sure that colleges didn't receive any financial incentives. College athletes didn't receive any financial incentives for playing. In my opinion, that made sense at the time. Back in 1906, it was more of it was a privilege to be at school. It was a privilege to play sports. It was more for fun and competition, love of the game. But over the years, the NCAA has grown into a multi-billion-dollar industry and business with media rights deals, sponsorships, coaching salaries that are through the roof. So I'm going to give you some numbers just so you have an idea how much it's grown to today. So top football programs brought in, on average, about $144 million in 2022 in revenue. The Big Ten, they just signed a media rights deal worth $8 billion, and that starts this year. And the coaches are making anywhere, the top football coaches are making anywhere between $2 to $11 million annually. So whenever you start looking at those numbers, I would argue that it's been a real shift from amateurism to a professional environment when it's those numbers being thrown around. You can't really even argue that it's amateur at this point when you're making billions of dollars, is how I see it. So today, media rights deals are worth billions of dollars, and coaching salaries can reach into the millions. But what about the athletes who are the driving force behind all of this money? So student athletes, they put their bodies on the line every day whenever they're playing, even in practice. A lot of injuries happen in practice. They spend countless hours practicing, training, and competing, all while still maintaining their academic responsibilities. They're the ones who drive the direction of a university and its culture, and when the team performs well, they're going to be bringing in more potential students to apply. Also, when they're performing well, you're going to see an increase in sales and revenue from, ticket sales. People are going to want to go see a good team. People are going to buy merchandise. People are going to buy concessions, alcohol, all of the above. So they really are the backbone of a university. And when they're doing well, the university's doing well. So, but despite all of this, student athletes receive almost no financial compensation. They can make money off of their own name, image, and likeness. However, only people who are are making real money are the top star football quarterbacks from giant schools. An example would be Bryce Young, quarterback from Alabama. He just got drafted a couple days ago. He was making millions of dollars while he was at school, but the average NIL deal is really just about $1,000. And that's really not. It's not a living wage. Obviously, that money can be gone in a day, especially for college students who probably aren't receiving enough financial classes. And so it's just not enough money that they're getting at this point. As a risk injury that could potentially end their career before they're even allowed to make money professionally, it's just a bad system in my opinion right now. So, talking specifically about injuries, concussions in football are a serious issue. Student athletes put their bodies and futures on the line every time they step onto the field. I found a study showing in 2017, it's about former college football athletes. It showed that of former student athletes that played college football and died, 91% of them had CTE. That's an injury that they are going to live with for the rest of their life. It's going to affect the vast majority of college athletes, and it's still being researched and it looks pretty horrible for them. So, and even to mention that, fewer than 2% of student athletes go on to play professionally. So when you're looking at the rates of injury for contact sports versus the number of people that actually go on to make money afterwards, Like, that's pretty drastic polar opposites. Um, and while the universities and the NCAA make millions of dollars off their hard work, the athletes themselves are left with nothing besides hospital bills, is how I see it. So the main reason that these athletes are not being paid is because of the system that's in place today for universities. While they're making a large profit, lots of areas of the universities are operating at a loss. They are putting those profits to fund the failing areas of universities. So examples of there's a lot of areas in university that are losing money on a daily basis. That would include some men's sports. Sadly, a lot of female sports. But even goes beyond that to some areas of academics that aren't bringing in the kind of money or donations that they require to run. So the money that these students need or are making can already give them a salary that's a living wage, at least some amount of compensation, but it's being used elsewhere because of the system that's put in place. I wouldn't call it fair or a rational reason to have a system in place like this, and the athletes could be being paid. So all these reasons are why many people believe that student athletes should be paid, including myself. They're the ones who are putting in the work, taking the risks, bringing in the money. So why shouldn't they receive any form of compensation for their efforts? The NCAA has come a long way since humble beginnings back in 1906, but it's time for it to take the next step and start compensating its student athletes for their hard work and dedication. Thank you.